Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be tier list ranking Kamala Harris's vice presidential candidate choices for VP and seeing which battleground or swing states can they really impact the race and help Kamala Harris in. But before we get started with the rankings, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content, press the like button, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget we have memberships, you can find the link to that in the description section if you are interested. So realistically, there's like 8 or 7 candidates that are basically in the discussion for Kamala Harris as vice president. First off, Governor of Illinois, JB Pritzker. Andy Beshear, I believe, governor of Kentucky. You have Pete Buttigieg, who is originally from, Indiana, but he currently lives in Michigan, which I don't know if that's going to matter. That's not really his home state. You have Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, who's also on the list. You have Roy Cooper, who's the current governor of North Carolina, important battleground state. Also Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, also another key battleground state or swing state. You have Mark Kelly, who is the senator of Arizona, in which Biden flipped that state for the first time for any Democrat in a long time. So this state's getting bluer, but you don't see that in this election is because Donald Trump is on track to win that state. So maybe Mark Kelly can really balance things out for Kamala Harris. And then you also have Josh Shapiro, who is the current governor of Pennsylvania, who is someone who is seen as more moderate and not really that far left, which is good when it comes to balance, because for VP, you're looking for someone who can really balance out the ticket. You don't want to pick yourself basically another 2.0 or a clone of yourself, which is what Donald Trump basically picked, and JD Vance, another clone. He should have picked someone like Tulsi Gabbard, in my opinion, which would actually balance out the ticket, because you're looking for balance in terms of a VP selection. So basically, there's going to be 4 sections where we rank these at. At the worst, we're going to, obviously bad candidate, and then you have average, and then you have amazing candidate, and then I have the number 1 best, in my opinion, for Vice President Kamala Harris's VP selection. So starting off with the governor of Illinois, JB Pritzker. In my opinion, he's one of the worst candidates up here. He's just, plain bad. I don't think he brings anything to the table when it comes to the electoral map. I mean, what's he going to do? Is he going to help her win Arizona? No. Is he going to help her win Georgia? No. Is JB Pritzker going to help Kamala Harris flip a state like North Carolina? No. Honestly, he brings nothing to the table, and he does not bring balance at all because he's just seen as one of those Democrats. She needs someone more moderate, and JB Pritzker is from Illinois. He's not from a swing state, so when it comes to home state advantages, he brings nothing to the table, so he's going to be bad. I think he's one of the worst picks. She should avoid him at all costs. She should not double down on someone who is, I would say, more on the far left side. And then you have Andy Beshear, I believe, from Kentucky. Honestly, I would put him between amazing and average. I would say average for now because, like I mentioned earlier, for JB Pritzker, he's not from a swing state, and that's very important for my rankings. I would say someone like Gretchen Whitmer, Mark Kelly, even someone like Josh Shapiro, all of those people, even Roy Cooper, are from battleground states, which is important for my opinion, me personally, when I'm looking for a VP for someone in that aspect. Obviously, Andy Beshear is one of those moderate Democrats because he is the governor of a red state. Kentucky obviously is a very red state. So, I mean, it's hard to do, which is why he's so moderate. So maybe when it comes to balance, I would prefer, I would say, obviously, Andy Beshear for someone like Kamala Harris, because it would bring that balance because he is more on a moderate side. Obviously, he's the governor of a very red state, which is good on his part. But other than balance, I mean, he's not from a swing state, so that's not going to really matter. But because he's moderate, and maybe he can help her win a state like Georgia, she can run up the numbers, and I would say Atlanta, the metropolitan area, also the suburbs, which could actually help. So Andy Beshear, in my opinion, is a little good. I mean, he's better than someone like JB Pritzker, so I would say in between amazing and average for now. And then you have Pete Buttigieg, which in my opinion is another average candidate. Honestly, I think Andy Beshear is better than Pete Buttigieg. Obviously, Pete Buttigieg is from Indiana, but he currently lives in Michigan. Honestly, I don't think that really matters to Michigan voters. I don't think it's going to help Kamala Harris win a state like Michigan. Even though he currently lives in there, I don't think it's going to matter. And honestly, Pete Buttigieg would really help with the youth vote, the younger voters, Gen Z, which Kamala Harris is doing that alone on herself. So that alone, I don't think it's really going to matter. She needs someone more balanced. Obviously, both Buttigieg and Harris does well with younger voters. So when it comes to balance, Pete Buttigieg doesn't do really anything. Honestly, he doesn't come from a swing state. I mean, he ran for president in the 2020 Democratic primaries. He did, I would say, okay, better than a lot of these candidates out there. He didn't do that bad in the primaries. So I think Pete Buttigieg is a rising star in the Democratic Party. I think he would do better in the future. But as of right now, for Kamala Harris as VP, honestly, I think I would not be surprised if she picked someone like Pete Buttigieg. I think it's good if you're a Democrat, but other than that, when it comes to winning some of these important swing states like Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, I don't think he brings anything to the table. He's just another one of those Democrats, I would say. And then you have Gavin Newsom, which, in my opinion, is one of the worst people up here. I think he's just plain up bad. Honestly, he comes from California. It's a solid blue state. He does not help with the swing states. And then you also have people that this is why I think Gavin Newsom actually hurts Kamala Harris electorally, because you have people from California moving to Arizona, fleeing the state, going to Nevada, going to Texas, going to places like Florida, where it matters the most, because obviously electorally those are swing states. And they're going to reject Newsom just because he is the VP, and therefore they might not go for Kamala Harris. And with that being said, Gavin Newsom really turns off a lot of voters. And honestly, I just don't think he brings anything to the table. Obviously, California has nothing to do with any of these swing states. He's just another Democrat. Obviously, he is another rising star, similar to Pete Buttigieg. I expect him to run in 2028. I believe he can possibly win the primaries. But as for Kamala Harris as vice president, I just don't see how he can get her new voters, because when it comes to a VP selection, you want someone who can gain you voters, obviously not lose you any, but you need someone that can actually get you new voters that were originally not going to vote for you. And when it comes to JD Vance, obviously, I don't think he's going to help Donald Trump get new voters, but this video is obviously about Kamala Harris, vice president. And then you have Roy Cooper from North Carolina. Honestly, I would say, just like Andy Beshear, he's between average and amazing. I would say average for now. Honestly, you can switch up. I would say Andy Beshear is maybe amazing. Honestly, I was deciding between average and amazing. But as for Roy Cooper, he can really help in a critical swing state as for North Carolina. I think he can really help, obviously, Kamala Harris benefit from a state like North Carolina, because he's the governor here, and this state voted for Donald Trump twice. So North Carolina is a slightly red state, even though it's considered a swing state. But considering that if she does pick Roy Cooper and he is the governor of North Carolina, I think that state can get scary close, and it will be extremely narrow, and it will be in play. And Kamala Harris might have a decent shot of actually winning North Carolina if she picks someone like Roy Cooper, which in my opinion, I would say he's better than anybody else. For example, he's better than Gavin Newsom, or he's better than JB Pritzker so far. And then you have also, he's more moderate, obviously, which would really balance out that ticket, because Kamala Harris is nowhere near moderate. She needs someone to balance that out. And then you have Gretchen Whitmer, who in my opinion is also amazing. Honestly, would she double down on another woman vice president? I'm not quite sure, but if she decides to do that, it would most likely be Gretchen Whitmer, which is obviously the only woman up here for her vice presidential choice. Gretchen Whitmer is going to help in a critical swing state in Michigan. Obviously, she is the governor here, and she performed very well in the 2022 midterms. I believe she got double digits, so obviously she has that electoral map advantage. And if Kamala Harris does pick Gretchen Whitmer, which I believe would be really smart electorally, I think she automatically wins the state of Michigan. Kamala Harris would win Michigan, in my opinion, if she picks Gretchen Whitmer as her vice president. Obviously, the suburbs are very important. You have places like Detroit, which are really trending blue, but if she doesn't pick Gretchen Whitmer, then Donald Trump has a realistic shot of actually winning Michigan in 2024, which is why I think Gretchen Whitmer as a VP is very important, and it would be a smart move for Kamala Harris if she were to double down on another woman vice president. And then you have, obviously, Mark Kelly, which in my opinion is also another amazing candidate. He comes from the state of Arizona. He is the senator here, and he always wins re-election. He's basically an electoral juggernaut. So I really think he can help Kamala Harris win this state again, just like Joe Biden did in 2020. Obviously, this state entirely comes down to Maricopa County, so I really think Mark Kelly really gives Kamala Harris that electoral map advantage in this state, because it is getting bluer. Obviously, they elected a Democratic governor in 2022 for the first time since, I believe, 2009, which is Katie Hobbs. And obviously, statewide of Arizona, if you take a look at the Senate, governorship, and representatives or whatnot, this state is actually getting a whole lot bluer. So I believe Mark Kelly can really gain Kamala Harris new voters. For example, the neocons, the establishment, the rhinos of the Republican Party, which make up a big majority of the Arizona voting bloc. And I think a lot of them can switch over to Kamala Harris, because she would pick Mark Kelly as the VP. But if she does not, then Donald Trump has a realistic shot of winning Arizona, which is why it actually matters. So these are the electoral map advantages for each of these VP choices. And then you have Josh Shapiro, which in my opinion is the number one option. If I am Kamala Harris, I am indeed going with Josh Shapiro. He is moderate. Obviously, you need someone with balance to balance out the ticket. Kamala Harris is extremely far left, but you have someone like Josh Shapiro who's more moderate. Josh Shapiro also wins over conservatives. He does win over Republican voters, which is why he had an amazing victory defeating Doug Mastriano in the 2022 midterms. Obviously, he overperformed massively. He overperformed expectations because he won the voters of Republicans, because he is extremely moderate, and he gives Kamala Harris that electoral map advantage. I do believe that Josh Shapiro would help Kamala Harris over the finish line in the state of Pennsylvania, where it matters the most. This is the tipping point state, obviously, which some would argue, and it could really decide the outcome of who wins this election, which is why, in my opinion, she should pick someone from the Rust Belt, because Donald Trump obviously picked someone like J.D. Vance, who comes from the state of Ohio. I think if it is Gretchen Whitmer, if it is Josh Shapiro, those are the top two choices if I am Kamala Harris. But if it's going to be someone like Gavin Newsom, I would say Pete Buttigieg. That's completely stupid. I would not do that if I am Kamala Harris. It should be someone from a swing state, I would say. But yes, Josh Shapiro, in my opinion, is probably the number one pick if I am Kamala Harris. And we're not going to be going over all of these choices, just the most, I would say, realistic ones, which are these 8. So that's pretty much it. Here's a little bit of an overview. If I'm Kamala Harris, I am avoiding JB Pritzker at all costs. I am avoiding Gavin Newsom. Those are the worst candidates. And then obviously you have the average ones. You have Pete Buttigieg and Roy Cooper, which in my opinion is probably more on basically on the average, middle of the pack side. And then you have the amazing candidates. You have Andy Beshear, you have Gretchen Whitmer, you have Mark Kelly, which will all be amazing choices for Kamala Harris if she does go with one of them. And then you have the number one best choice, which if I am Kamala Harris, I am going with Josh Shapiro. So these are the states where they can help her electorally. And honestly, anybody in the amazing category, and also Josh Shapiro included, is probably better than JD Vance in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my tier list rankings on Kamala Harris's VP choices? Who do you think she should pick, or who do you think she will pick in the comment section down below? Don't forget to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content. Press the like button. Also, we have memberships. If you are interested, you can find a link to that in the description section. Thank you everyone for watching.